Okay, so when this happened to me, I was traveling to Rio de Janeiro for a work opportunity. A couple of days go by and I'm just trying to settle in. One day, my coworker suggests that we all go to a bar. The place is actually pretty cool, despite the prices. When it gets late, everyone starts leaving, but I decide to just stay behind for a little while. Now I am just alone among strangers. I just thought it would be nice to relax and get a view of how the place really is without other people here. Out of nowhere, this couple approaches me. They seem completely drunk and high. They're like, "Hey, buddy, can you drive us?" Sure, why not? I get in the car and they give me the address. I drive, occasionally asking for landmarks, checking that we're on the right track. The two of them just keep chatting the whole time, like literally they won't stop for even a second. I listen to all kinds of nonsense the whole way there, but I keep my mouth shut. Finally, I arrive. They live in a really upscale neighborhood. Like all of the houses all around just look so expensive and yeah. I park the car and we get outside. The guy puts 300 of my currency in my hand, which is around $50 give or take. Then he asks me to save my number in his phone. No way am I putting my real name, so I give him a fake one, and I put down Ian. I'm surprised, and I order an Uber while the two of them stumble into the house. A few days pass by after that, and I had not received any calls in the meantime, until one Friday night when my phone rang and I realized it was him, the same guy. I barely even answered, and he just asked if I was available to drive. I started getting drugs for him, and sometimes even hookers. It didn't matter. After a while, I was making more money driving around and picking things up for Gerard, which is what I will call him, than I earned at my honest job. I'd been in Rio for 4 months by then, and I was waiting for his calls almost every night. But I went nearly a whole week without hearing a single word from Gerard. Until the following week, when he called me on a Sunday morning. He wanted me to drive him and his girlfriend to his family's ranch, apparently for some celebration. It didn't really matter. I went to his place and we got in the car. The trip took so long, it felt like a damn odyssey. The whole way there, the two of them kept asking me all sorts of questions about myself. I kept giving these evasive lying answers with a hint of apathy. When we arrived, he paid me $2,000 up front. My crappy wallet barely had room for that many bills, but nothing good comes without some disaster following close behind. Since I had to drive him back, I also had to stay there until the next day when everyone else was leaving. I was at this damn ranch with nothing to do, surrounded by eccentric rich people that I felt something was off when I first saw them. I can't really describe what felt off. I don't know, just the look of them, the air that they gave. I tried to hand the car keys to Gerard, but he refuses and tells me to keep them by me since I will be driving back tomorrow. Okay, sure. The place seemed a bit bizarre, with a main house, a cabin, and a pretty large chapel. But the worst part was that there was not much to do. Gerard and his girl spent the day smoking weed in secret. I spent the whole day being stared at by the others. Sometimes it felt like they were constantly watching me. I could feel it even when I went to smoke somewhere further away. Night falls. They ask where I want to stay. I say I will stay in the caretaker's cabin. They think I'm an idiot for wanting to stay somewhere far away from the main house, but they agree. I can't sleep, and I just keep thinking about leaving. Like that feeling when you know you should not be somewhere. I really should not have been there. I step outside to smoke a cigarette and walk around. Then I start hearing sounds that seem like someone singing. I look for the source and realize it must be coming from the chapel. Now I can hear it clearly. Clarity. You know that chant from the fire temple in Zelda Ocarina of Time, the first one I think. It was something like that. I don't know what the hell kind of language they were speaking. I peek through the chapel window and see them all there. I say screw it, I am leaving. I go to the cabin to grab my stuff and run to Gerard's car. From inside the car, I see them coming out and heading toward the cabin. I start the car and hit the gas. Thank God this place has no gate. I am practically losing my mind inside the car. At that point, I would have run any of them over if they had shown up. Screw it, no one is taking me alive. I kept going straight along the road for a few kilometers and then ditched it among the trees. I ran for a few more kilometers, thinking that probably they would have called the cops, so I just hitched a ride in a truck who dropped me off in town. The next day, I asked the company to fire me. I lied and said I was banging a married woman and now her husband wanted me dead. Luckily, they believed it and urgently bought me a ticket. I don't even want to know why they were heading to where I was so late at night. Screw 'em. I just feel relieved knowing that none of those sons of bitches know my name. Okay, so this story is from an ex-military guy I know who frequents the same bar as me. He is a pilot flying up in the Northern Territory. He radios into the airstrip. He knows the couple that run it. He says he will be there in 4 hours and will radio when he is near the airstrip. He gets close to the airstrip and radios the couple in. He gets no reply. He circles his aircraft and tries again, but he still gets no reply. He goes to the airstrip in the next town over. He can't afford to use up all his fuel just circling the same place. He tells the lads working there the couple never picked up their radio. They call the police. The police come around to them, and they all travel to the airstrip that the couple own. They get there about 2 or 3 a.m. The lights in the house are off, but the spotlights are on. Some of them were shining off into the hill. They walk around the side of the house where the dogs are kept. 2 things they notice right away. The dogs were dead, but there was no sign of any physical harm on them. They all had looks of terror on their face. It appears that they were literally scared to death. The second thing was that the side of the house was riddled with bullet holes, but it looked like they were fired from the inside out. They go into the house to find the couple dead on the ground with the man's AR-15 in his hand. They had a look of fear and shock on their faces, the same as the dogs, and they were said to have died the same way as the dogs. The police radio this in. At dawn, most of the other police and paramedics get there, and so do some lads from the Air Force. They saw them talking to police, then came over to the locals and told them to get the hell out of there and don't tell anyone what they saw or may have heard. The guy who told the lad from the pub that I go to was in the USAF and was involved with Project Blue Book and other UFO-related business. He told him that strange lights and other strange events had went down in the area the night of the incident. Yeah, I just want to piggyback off of that last story. It kind of rings a bell with me. I have seen The Red as well, and I posted it here, but I got called a LARPer. Here's a quick rundown. I went to some hot springs with my roommate. On the way back, we got chased by something. I'm not sure how to describe it. It was something shaped like a human, but they didn't look human in the face, and they certainly didn't act human. I know it sounds crazy, but my roommate driving saw it too. It chased us almost at 40 miles per hour before we left it behind us on the winding roads. The sun was beginning to set when we first left, so as we were pulling into the driveway, it is now nighttime. And when we were pulling in, I could see a glowing orange orb slowly hovering above the neighboring houses and apartments. My roommate was still freaked out from seeing the humanoid thing, so he refused to even look up or discuss what I was seeing right now, and rightfully so. That night, I go to sleep as normal, but I did not have work the next day, so I turned off my cell phone. Before I turned it off, I was scrolling this website, which by default has a blue background, which is relevant. I turn off my cell phone and decide to call it a night. No good friends. As I begin to drift off, I feel like I am spacing out or hypnotized. I was aware of this feeling, but I could do nothing to fight it. As soon as I noticed this, I also noticed that the room is completely red. I could not move my body, only my eyes. My eyes dart around the room to make sense of what is happening. Could this red light be the opposite effect of looking at blue too long? Maybe it's my smoke detector light. I noticed the light was still blinking occasionally like normal, nor would this be enough light to make the room a static red. Before I could even think about anything else, I was suddenly asleep, but I do not remember falling asleep. In that night, I had the most intense nightmare. At least, I think it was a nightmare. In the dream, I'm no longer in my bedroom. I'm standing in the living room. The house is not completely dark. Some of the lights are switched on, but they're really, really dim. When I tried to flick them on and off, nothing changed. They just remained that dim color, and it was hard to see in the house. There was a brown-skinned man standing in the kitchen. He seemed to be foreign. The man's eyes were so dark that he had no color. He still had the white part, but the color in the pupil area was all just black and seemed really off. He was telling me that I should leave and go with him back to his homeland. He tried to convince me with promises of a world with no disease or poverty, where people live without aging. He eventually tells me I just have to denounce Christ and learn about his religion instead. The black eyes were one thing, but that was the final straw. Animal instinct just took over, and I threw him down and bashed his head open on the marble tiles. Instead of blood coming out of his head, bits of computer chips and wiring and random components started to show in the split on his head. Although his head was completely destroyed, his body crawled to the pantry. This was originally my aunt's house that I inherited after she died. My aunt remodeled her house, so the pantry was bigger than it used to be, but I noticed another door at the back of it. In reality, in real life, this door is not actually there. I've never seen a door there before. The dude with his head smashed freakishly clawed his way and crawled to that room. I realized he was after something important. I beat him to the room and I open up the door. It's all computers and server equipment. I get the vibe the guy was trying to upload himself or escape digitally somehow, I think. I destroy all of the equipment in this hidden server room. I wake up completely drenched in sweat and extremely confused and sore. I still feel tired, like I never slept. It must have been a dream. I never found that door in real life after I woke up. I know this sounds like a lot of random bullshit, but I promise it was real and one of the craziest things I have experienced, and I am still searching for answers or anything related to the red. Okay, so here is a weird experience I had working my summer job in Minnesota as a camp counselor. Let me just preface by saying this is not some skinwalker bullshit. I was around 17 years old when this happened. The place I was working at was about 4 hours north of the Twin Cities. It was the North Woods, so lots of lakes and not a ton of people. It was only my second year working as a counselor. It's a sleepaway camp, so you get like a cabin of 8 to 10 kids for a week with one other counselor helping you out. The camp is about 15 minutes down a dirt road from the nearest town. It was my third week into my 7-week stint. Things are going pretty well. Only a few shitty kids I've had to deal with, but nothing special. My co-counselors have been fine too, since everyone is pretty close. It's a YMCA camp, by the way. At the start of the third week, I get my new co-counselor for the week. It's this French dude named Pascal. There are like 15 to 20 Frenchies that work at the camp because of some YMCA exchange program. Most of them are pretty normal. Pascal is chill, but his English is a little bit iffy. We start our week with no issues, but the campers are ages 10 to 12, which is basically the worst to deal with. I'm talking dick jokes, cursing, preteen rebellion, and body odor. It was surprisingly not all that bad. They like us, so everything is fine from Sunday, when they arrive, until Wednesday. On Wednesday, we do our overnight. That's basically where our cabin packs tents and food, and goes camping for one night at a campsite of our choosing that's about 1 to 4 miles away from the main camp. I've done it many times, so it's not really an issue, especially with an older age group. The counselors chose the campsite, so I picked this one named Lone Pine. I've never been to it. It's about a 3.7-mile hike away from the main camp. I run it by Pascal. Him and the camper seem to not really care. I'm excited to go out and fish and make fires and stuff, and so are they. We head out right after lunch. Counselors wear these big-ass bags called the loof packs that have our tents and food. The hike there takes a while, but it's really pretty and nice weather too. We get to the site on a small lake. There is so many in this area of Minnesota that if there is no houses on it, it probably does not have a name. It's an average-sized site, but super dense with trees all around it. It's like at least twice as dense as most of the forest in this area. Since I'm a dumbass, I think this means more firewood instead of being sus. We set up tents, make a fire. It's a pretty average night so far. We catch fish and cook dinner, tell ghost stories, swim in the lake, just cheesy summer camp stuff. The kids get in their tents at about 10. Pascal has a watch, and we have a walkie-talkie for emergencies, but that's it for electronics. Pascal and I talk until about 12, about girls and friends and Minnesota stuff. Then we head to our tent and we sleep. At like 2 a.m., we wake up to a distant tornado siren. It sounds like a stereotypical air raid noise. If you grew up on the plains, you know how eerie this stuff is. I lived in southern Minnesota. Tornadoes were pretty common in the summer there. Not up in the Northwoods though. In my 8 years of going to camp, I have only heard of a tornado warning once, let alone a full alarm. I also did not think we were close enough to the town to even hear it. I also did not know that they even had one. Either way, Pascal is freaked out because there are no tornadoes in Paris. Some kids understand, others don't. We all get our stuff but leave the tents because I don't want to be out here wasting time if this tornado comes. It's also dark, like way too dark. Everyone grabs clothes and a flashlight. We all get in a single file line and follow the trail out of the site. It's super ominous with no animal noises whatsoever and those distant sirens and whipping wind being the only thing that we hear. We are kinda hustling. One kid trips and falls and skins his knee. I realize that we forgot the first aid pack. I want to keep going, but the kid turned on bitch mode. Pascal says that he can run back to get it, since we're only about 5 minutes away. 15 minutes pass. Pascal comes running back with the first aid and a terrified look on his face. It still freaks me out to this day. This dude is white as shit and tosses me the pack and starts speed walking out of there. The kid barely even has time to bandage his knee. I'm weirded out. The wind sounds really odd too. Like you know when an old tree sways in the wind. That groan, but all around us. There is no moon and no stars, just this groan and that damn siren that won't stop. I can't believe I didn't notice anything off in the moment. As we keep walking out, I get the walkie-talkie and radio in that our group is coming back to camp. There is silence for a minute, the wind gets creepier, and some kids say that they hear footsteps in the woods. The others think that they are joking and just try to brush it off. I'm still trying to radio in, and Pascal is 15 feet in front of the group and still not talking. Shit is hitting the fan. Eventually, my camp director responds, "Anon, what is going on? Just get me a van to the entrance to Lone Pine site ASAP. The camp has a van for shit kinda like this." I am panicking. My director can hear, so he just goes, "Okay, it will be there soon." I should have mentioned the tornado sirens. They get louder, but we are walking in the opposite direction of the town. Those damn sirens. We get to the entrance of the trail. More and more kids start to mention footsteps. I think I heard them too, but it's hard to tell with the sirens and the wind. I am still wondering why it is so dark. I spend a lot of time out in the woods out here in the dark too, but this is different. I radio in and ask where the van is. They are 5 minutes away. The kids are crying. Pascal is sitting on the road in silence, and my radio suddenly goes pure static. I am freaking the hell out. The groans of trees continue. And now this one kid said he saw a person running in the woods. I just lose my shit. I scream at him to shut up. I am losing it. The van finally comes. We all run inside screaming, and some kids say that people are running around the van. The driver is my friend. He sees my eyes, and he knows that he has to floor it back to camp. We get back, but camp is empty. When there was a tornado drill, everyone goes to the bathroom underneath the lodge because it is safe. We run there, ignoring the driver. A counselor steps out in a towel. He just showered. The whole camp is not there. What? The camp director heard the noises we were making. He runs out of the lodge. He tells me to calm the fuck down. He takes my kids inside. The staff calms them down too. He notices Pascal. He takes him inside too. A few more counselors come outside, and they talk to me outside. I tell them about the tornado. There is no tornado, they say. Huh? They ask me what side I was at. I say Lone Pine. One counselor whistles, like that "damn, you fucked up" whistle. The director frowns at me. He tells me I was not supposed to go out there. They closed it down for maintenance over the summer. Well, I didn't know that. He tells me we will sort it out tomorrow. He just tells me to get some sleep. We all sleep in the lodge because we are scared. The next morning, some parents come to pick up their kids. Lucky bastards. Pascal is not okay though. He still will not talk. He will only speak in rapid French to the other Frenchies. They seem spooked too. Pascal goes home basically. He gets an early flight home. He gets driven into the cities that day and never comes back to camp. The Frenchies will not tell me what he saw. They will only say, "hombre." I thought that was Spanish for friend. They won't give me any help at all. Anyways, camp director drives me out of the site that day to pick up the tents. I tell her what happened. She nods. She clearly believes me, or at least is pretending to, but will not elaborate. We stay out of this area now. Sorry I did not tell you. I get to the site. The tents are shredded. It looks like they lost a fight to a wolverine. The director does not look surprised. Tells me to clean it up. She goes to the fire pit and dumps some shit in there and mutters a few words. I start to say something, but she hushes me and finishes her little monologue in some language I cannot understand. Latin or a native language, I don't really know. We walk out of there in silence. I hear footsteps towards the site, the opposite direction from us. I start to panic again, but the director tells me to relax. We get to the van. She basically says, "Do not fuck with this place or say anything to anyone." She will not give me any more info, but she doubles my pay for the week. That makes it better. The rest of the summer was normal. I never came anywhere near Lone Pine site ever again. I still do not know what happened. So many things happened and I am so confused. I know about Wendigos, but it doesn't seem like it. The sirens still freak me out. I hear them in my dreams sometimes. I'm not as screwed up as Pascal though, Lamel. I just wish I got to learn what he saw. I wish someone would have told me. Then again, maybe it's better for my sanity that I do not know. OP here. One more thing I forgot to add. The dude who whistled when I said I went to Lone Pine, he camped there earlier in the summer. He took his cabin out there, but a kid woke him up in the middle of the night, absolutely bawling his eyes out. The kid said he heard footsteps in the forest. The counselor thought that he was crazy since he was like 9 years old, but the kid would not stop, so they had to pack it in and head back to camp. The guy said he had the same weird wind on the way back, with the trees groaning, but he said that nothing else weird happened. Not as bad as what happened to my cabin, but it's pretty odd to see multiple events occurring at this one site. I might as well share something that happened to me that I have never posted anywhere before today. Back in high school, I joined a moving company for a summer just for some extra cash. I had a car of my own, so I would be sent to do small jobs or sent ahead for smaller stuff, so the foreman would not have to deal with it. This story is from one of the last jobs of that summer, and why I did not go back the next summer. We had spent the entire day cleaning and moving out a large, older-style farmhouse for a lady being moved into a retirement center. It was chock full of deer heads, hides on the wall, stuffed animals, and just so much fancy woodcarved furniture that we had to make multiple trips to clear everything out. It was a frankly beautiful home, but horrifically confusing with how large and maze-like each floor layout was. You go from a room stacked end to end with nature oil paintings to a dead end of a hallway where there was a deer skull mounted to the wall in the corner. After we had finished up and I had started driving home, I got a call from my boss saying that one of my coworkers had left their tool set behind. They knew that I was still around and asked if I could go back and get it, to which I said yes because I'm a kid and I do not want to piss off my boss. I want to seem like I'm a guy who can do everything. It was getting late on, and it was as creepy as you would think walking around a giant old-style house as the sun goes down. Every single step that I took would have the floorboards creak loud enough to make me feel like I needed to quiet down. Imagine this, every step I peeked into a room to see if the tools were there or not. The house would do it too, just because of how old it was, and it kept making me check over my shoulder to see if I was still alone or not. There was one room that we were not allowed to clear out because it was full of these mounted and stuffed animals that the family of the woman wanted to get themselves. Apparently, these ones were special hunts and stuff that they had gotten themselves, and not like the ones that we had already cleared out. They were massive antler mounts and a single stuffed deer head that was stood perfectly up on its edge, facing the door as I passed by. It was freaky, but I did not see the tools inside, so I just left and kept on going. I just kept seeing the deer head pop up from time to time as I made my way through. It was mainly in mirrors that somehow made a perfect line from the room that I would be in to the room that the deer head was. I swore that it was always meeting my gaze no matter where I would be. You match that with the creaking in the general atmosphere of the place, and it made me want to get the hell out of there. Eventually, I found the tools on the same floor in a room that we had cleared out earlier in the day. I immediately started hustling my way out of there. When I passed by the room the mounted head was in and saw that it was just completely gone, I ran. I suspect that all of this was a massive prank on me by the guys, but their car was not there. That house was quiet enough that I would have been able to hear if a big guy was in there stomping around. I never bothered telling any of them about that night, and I mean, if it was a big prank on me and all of the guys were involved, surely they would come up to me and tease me about it or something, but they just never mentioned it either. Okay, so this is a story from someone called Paul, who I met in the UK back in the summer of 1997. At the time, Paul spent 10 days checking out the crop circles that had appeared during the summer in the county of Wiltshire, England, which is where most of the formations are made on a yearly basis. He too had a story that involved missing time, but not at all like the type associated with alien abductions. Paul told me that he had been walking around one of the formations just as the sun was starting to rise when a woman appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. She was dressed in a long black cape that had a black hood. Paul said that her skin was extremely pale and her face was very thin. She engaged him in what seemed to be a very short conversation, warning him not to dig too deep into the subject. The woman in black then turned and exited the huge and intricate formation. For reasons that he was unable to understand, Paul felt both nauseous and frightened. Here is the strangest part of the story. Paul found himself quite confused due to the fact that although it seemed to have only been a brief encounter, when he checked, he realized that there was far more to it. According to his watch, close to 3/4 of an hour were missing from Paul's memory. And, although the woman had something to say to Paul of a warning nature, he could not remember exactly what he said in response to her. I live near a very strange area in northern Minnesota. The thing with this area is that it is remote. The area is around Floodwood, north on Highway 73, and west on Highway 2. We used to have a hunting shack north of Floodwood. We hunted there for 30 plus years until the couple that owned the land passed away. Truckers have seen some weird stuff along Highway 2 west of Floodwood. I'm talking orbs and strange lights. My brother and I, one day after hunting, decided that we would drive to our friend's parents' house, which was only a few miles away. We did not have any electricity at the hunting shack, so evenings got a little boring. As we drove through the farm, we came to a stop at the highway and went north on Highway 73. As we were turning, 2 bright green orbs shot straight up into the air from the ditch in front of us. A few seconds later, I said to my brother, "Did you see that?" He replied, "Yeah, I thought I was seeing things." It was not a reflection. What they were, I do not know. Another incident involving my grandma and grandpa a few miles down the road from where this took place was in the late 70s or in the early 80s. They were coming south down Highway 73 and turned down a dirt road, and right alongside the car was a fireball following the car until it shot out into a farm field. I remember my grandparents telling me this story. The next story, I was not there, but my brother and my dad and another guy called Jack just got done eating supper one evening during deer season, and the entire western side of the forest was lit in green light glowing through the trees. I mean, there is nothing but spruce swamp for miles in that direction. The DNR even released wolves via helicopter in that area because of how remote it is. I don't know, but this is a strange area with a lot of stories.